Welcome back, dear friends. This is episode number 52. In episode number 51, we have covered up to Rule 4 of Order 33. Now we will start from Rule 5, rejection of application. We have seen how the application is to be presented, to whom, before whom, what will happen if it is presented before the Chief Ministerial Officer. All those things we have seen. Now Rule 5, rejection of application. The court shall reject an application for permission to sue as an indigent person. Then various clauses are there up to G. What are the reasons for rejection? Where it is not framed and presented in the manner prescribed by Rules 2 and 3. Rules 2 and 3 we have seen the manner in which it should be presented, framed and presented. If it is not done in that manner, that is a ground for rejection. B. Where the applicant is not an indigent person. He claims that he is an indigent person. If the court finds that he is not an indigent person, that is a ground for rejection of the application. C. Where he has, within 2 months next before the presentation of the application, disposed of any property fraudulently or in order to be able to apply for permission to sue as an indigent person. What is this? Within 2 months next before the presentation of the application, within that period, he has disposed of any property fraudulently and or in order to be able to apply for permission to sue as an indigent person. Two things: disposed of any property fraudulently or disposed of any property in order to be able to apply for permission to sue as an indigent person. Apart from the disputed property suit which is involved in the suit, suppose the applicant has several items of properties. Immediately before filing the suit, he transfers the same in favor of his wife or son-in-law or daughter-in-law or father-in-law to screen off the property from consideration for the purpose of arriving at the conclusion whether he is an indigent person or not. So on record, the property does not stand in his name. But that is not always a ground to allow the application. The court may find the respondent in the application, that is the defendant in the suit, may raise a contention that this man has transferred the property fraudulently, in which case the evidence will be adduced, and if the court finds that there was a fraudulent transfer within a period of 2 months, within 2 months next before the presentation of the application, then the court will reject the application. A contumacious conduct on the part of the applicant, plaintiff, that is, which he should not have done. It is an act of bad faith, in which case that is a ground for rejection of the application. Now, provided that no application shall be rejected if, even after the value of the property disposed of by the applicant is taken into account, the applicant would be entitled to sue as an indigent person. Suppose the court fee payable is 1 lakh. He has disposed of, within this period of 2 months, 10 cents of his agricultural land, paddy land. That may not fetch that much money. So even if the transfer is taken into account, that will not be, even if the value of the property disposed of is taken into account, even then that would not be sufficient. Even after the value of the property disposed of by the applicant is taken into account, the applicant would be entitled to sue as an indigent person. Still he continues to be an indigent person. That means even after taking into account the value of the property which was disposed of, still it can be found that he is a person incapable of paying the court fee. Then that disposal doesn't matter. Otherwise, if it is a fraudulent transfer, the court will say that it is a fraudulent transfer and therefore he is not entitled to sue as an indigent person and his application can be rejected on that ground. D. Where his allegations do not show a cause of action. He cannot have a luxury of a litigation without a cause of action for the same. He cannot file a suit without paying court fee and having the luxury of a litigation against the defendant and thereby causing trouble to the defendant. So the allegations do not show a cause of action for the suit. Where he has where he has entered into any agreement with reference to the subject matter of the proposed suit, under which any other person has obtained an interest in such subject matter. Where this applicant has entered into an agreement with reference to the subject matter of the suit with a third party, and any other person, third party, has obtained interest in the subject matter. So he has agreed to sell the property or to mortgage the property to finance litigation or any other activity which is not proper, then that is a ground for rejecting the application. F. Where the allegations made by the applicant in the application show that the suit would be barred by any law for the time being in force. What is that? The allegations made in the application, that application should contain all the necessary elements as in a suit, and once that decision is taken in the indigent application, then only it will be converted into a suit if the application is allowed, or if the application is dismissed on payment of court fee, it will be converted into a suit. Suppose the suit is not maintainable under any law, or it is barred. Suppose the suit is barred by limitation on the face of it, or it is barred by any law. The court cannot take cognizance of that. Court cannot entertain a suit. The court lacks jurisdiction under section 9 of the CPC. Then that is a ground for rejection of the application. So frivolous suits filed to create difficulties to the defendant, to oppress him. G. Where any other person has entered into an agreement with him to finance the litigation. Financing litigation is not allowed. A party cannot make a business of the litigation. There are persons who take over the litigation. There are persons who finance the litigation. And after a particular result is obtained, they will have some gain. Such agreements are void. Any other person has entered into an agreement with him to finance the litigation. If such an agreement is there, and if it is shown to the court that this man has entered into an agreement to finance the litigation, then that is a ground to reject the application. This is rejecting the application. That is something akin to Order 7 Rule 10, rejection of plaint. There are several clauses. It does not disclose a cause of action, or it is barred by any law for the time being in force, or there are other reasons also. Rejection, it is not presented in the proper form as per the procedure prescribed. All those things are ground for, or the plaint is prepared showing the corrective valuation, but the court fee is not paid, or the corrective valuation is not shown and therefore the plaint cannot be entertained. All these are reasons for rejection of the plaint under Order 7 Rule 10. Order 7 Rule 10. Let us see now itself. something akin to that. Order 7, Rule 10 is return of plaint, where it is lack of jurisdiction and then etc. etc. Then Order 7, Rule 11 is rejection of plaint, where it does not disclose a cause of action. Relief claimed is undervalued, where the subject relief claimed is properly valued but the plaint is written upon a paper insufficiently stamped, where the suit appears from the statement in the plaint to be barred by any law, then where the procedural formalities, where it is not filed in duplicate, etc. etc. Something akin to that. It is not rejection of plaint. It is rejection of the application. Application to sue as an indigent person. There are some of the reasons which are stated in Order 7, Rule 11 also find a place here. That is, it is not presented in the proper manner, and he is not an indigent person, or it does not disclose a cause of action, or it is barred by any law. These are all common grounds for rejection of plaint under Order 7, Rule 11 as well. Then return of plaint also can be. Suppose the application is presented in a court which has no jurisdiction. Some other court has jurisdiction. That can be returned. No harm. That comes under Order 7, Rule 10. Then 6. What will happen next? Where the court sees no reason to reject the application. So the test under Rule 5 is over. The court has not rejected it. Rejection at the threshold. Rejection at the threshold. There are several stages in dealing with the application to sue as an indigent person under Order 33. Rule 6 says notice of the day for receiving evidence of the applicant's indigency. Next stage. That stage comes where the court sees no reason to reject the application on any of the grounds stated in Rule 5. So that Rule 5 stage is over. The court has not rejected the application. Then comes what? It shall fix a day of which at least 10 days clear notice shall be given to the opposite party and the government pleader for receiving such evidence as the applicant may adduce in proof of his indigency, and for hearing any evidence which may be adduced in disproof thereof. So what are all the things there? The court did not reject the application. The applicant passed that test. That is over. Then notice should be issued. Fix a day for appearance. At least 10 days clear notice should be given to the opposite party and to the government pleader. Why government pleader? Government is not a party, but the matter is payment of court fee. So a government pleader should get a notice. Government shall be a party in the matter of court fee. So government pleader should be, he will not appear, the government will not appear as a party in the application as such, but copy should be given. It shall fix a day for receiving such evidence as the applicant may adduce in proof of his indigency. So who has to prove the indigency? The applicant plaintiff has to prove the indigency. The applicant plaintiff, that expression always may not be true, because in the case of set-off and counterclaim also indigency appears. So we will say the correct expression would be the applicant, because the applicant who prays for filing a particular thing as an indigent person need not always be the plaintiff. The defendant may also sometimes come. So we will refer as applicant. And for hearing any evidence which may be adduced in disproof thereof. So the applicant has to prove that he is indigent. The burden of proof is on him. And the other party will be entitled to disprove. The plaintiff, the applicant cannot say that this is a matter between the government and me, and therefore where is the question of the respondent coming in? The respondent defendant, probably, let us take it that the plaintiff is filing the suit as an indigent person. Then the defendant says, no, he is not an indigent person, he has this property, that property, he has this much money, etc. He can say. Then the plaintiff says, no, this is a matter between the government and me. You have no say in the matter. No. The respondent in the application has a say in the matter. So the applicant has to prove his indigency. And the respondent in the application will be entitled to disprove it. So burden of proof is there always on the applicant. But the proof may fail if that is disproved. If there is evidence to show that this evidence adduced on behalf of the applicant cannot be believed, that is a matter of disproof. Procedure at hearing, Rule 7. On the day so fixed or as soon thereafter as may be convenient, the court shall examine the witnesses, if any, produced by either party, and may examine the applicant or his agent, and shall make a full record of their evidence. Full record. So it is a duty of the court. This is an application. But application apart, it is a matter concerning the payment of court fee and allowing a person as an indigent person to sue. So it is a serious thing. So the parties will be entitled to adduce evidence to prove a particular thing, to disprove it also. So the duty of the court arises. The court cannot brush it aside. This is only an application. I will go through this affidavit and all those things. That is enough. Court cannot say. If the party says that I have to prove, I am ready to prove it. I got witnesses. I got documents. Court is bound to examine all those things. And may examine the applicant or his agent and shall make a full record of their evidence. Examine witnesses, examine himself, examine his agent, all that is possible. 1A. 1A was inserted by CPC Amendment Act. And please note one thing. The expression a full record of their evidence, that was substituted by the CPC amendment. Substituted. What were the words? What was the expression before 1976? A memorandum of substance of the evidence was the expression. There is a lot of difference. Recording the evidence in full, that means full. Recording the substance of the examination, only the substance of the examination. That was the law before 1976. So the Parliament, with a purpose, substituted the expression a full record of their evidence instead of a memorandum of the substance of evidence. So this has to be taken into account by the litigants, by the lawyers, and by the court. What was the law before 1976 and what is the law now? Why it is so? What is the importance? It is not just an application. The examination, 1A, the examination of the witnesses under Subrule 1 shall be confined to the matters specified in clause B, C and E of Rule 5. But the examination of the applicant or his agent may relate to any of the matters specified in Rule 5. Let us see what it is. Witnesses are there. The applicant may be examined. Witnesses can be examined. Now, the examination of the witnesses relate to what? It is not any evidence that he may wish to adduce that is relevant. Only relevant evidence will be allowed. What is a relevant thing? If a witness is to be examined, the examination shall be confined to the matters specified in clause B, C and E. What is B? Where the applicant is not an indigent person. B, C, he has disposed of the property within 3 months. And E, where he has entered into an agreement with reference to the subject matter of the dispute with a third party. So if a witness is to be examined, he cannot be expected to adduce evidence, or he cannot be compelled or invited to depose on all matters relating to the suit, relating to all the matters, the character of the parties, this and that. All those things are irrelevant. What is the question here? Whether the applicant is an indigent person, whether he should be allowed to file the suit as an indigent person. That is the only question. So confined to that question. So if a witness is to be examined, that examination of the witness shall be confined to matters specified in clause B, C and E alone, nothing else. But the examination of the applicant or his agent may relate to any of the matters specified in Rule 5. So all these matters which are covered by Rule 5 can be subject of examination of the party or his agent. That is a distinction. This is to curtail unnecessary evidence. And keeping in mind, even after saying that full record of evidence in 1976 amendment, the Parliament thought it fit that you confine the evidence to this much. Not all when witnesses are examined. And even if the party is examined, the examination shall be with reference to all the matters specified in Rule 5. Sub-Rule 2. The court shall also hear any argument which the parties may desire to offer on the question whether, on the face of the application and of the evidence if any taken by the court under Rule 6 or under this rule, the applicant is or is not subject to any of the prohibitions specified in Rule 5. Arguments. On what question? On the face of the averments in the application and on the face of the evidence adduced before court, the applicant is or applicant is not subject to any of the prohibitions contained in Rule 5. Rule 5 contains clause up to clause G. Touching upon all those matters, there are certain prohibitions there, disqualification there, etc., etc. So the evidence shall be confined to the applicant to decide what? To decide whether the applicant is or is not subject to any of the prohibitions in Rule 5. Any clause up to G. 3. The court shall then either allow or refuse to allow the applicant to sue as an indigent person. That is a result. So a hearing takes place under Rule 7. The rejection of the application under Rule 5 is at the threshold. At that time, notice will not be issued to the respondent. There are certain parameters. That will be, the court will examine that. And if it is, there are certain prohibitions, there are certain disqualifications, etc. And the court will reject the application. Threshold, at the entry point, that will be rejected. But if the court does not find any ground to reject it, it shall fix a date for hearing. Notice shall be issued to the respondent as well as to the government pleader. Then here, evidence, full record of evidence. And then in the examination of party and witnesses, it is specified that if the witnesses are being examined, the examination should be confined to the matters mentioned in clause B, C and E of Rule 5. and when the party or his agent is being examined, then you may have all the matters covered by Rule 5 to be the subject of evidence. Then ultimately, the question to be considered is whether the applicant is or is not an indigent person. Then the court shall either allow or refuse to allow the applicant to sue as an indigent person. That is a net result. That comes under Rule 7. Then procedure, next step. It goes step by step. Rule 8. Procedure if application is admitted. Where the application is granted, it shall be numbered and registered and shall be deemed the plaintiff in the suit. See the nature of the application. The application should contain all the necessary facts which are to be stated in the plaintiff. Every detail must be there. It shall be verified, this and that, all the conditions are there. And if the application is allowed, the application is granted, it shall be numbered and registered and shall be deemed the plaintiff in the suit. That will constitute the plaintiff. And the suit shall proceed in all other respects as a suit instituted in the ordinary manner, except that the plaintiff shall not be liable to pay the court fee or fee payable for service of process in respect of any petition, appointment of pleader, or other proceedings connected with the suit. So the application is allowed. It shall be numbered, registered in court, not the other registration. And it shall be deemed to be the plaintiff, and it shall proceed. The only difference is the plaintiff shall not be liable to pay the court fee or other fees for service of process, etc., wakalat, etc. That also indicates that the date of plaintiff shall be deemed to be the date of application. We have seen Section 3 of the Limitation Act, Section 13 of the Limitation Act. We have seen Rule 15A of Order 33, all these things in the last episode. Here, it is held in AER 1973 Supreme Court, 2508, Jujal Kishore, Jujal, Kishore versus Dhano Devi, Dhanno Devi, AER 1973 Supreme Court 2508. What is held is that in view of the provisions of Rule 8, when permission to sue as an indigent person is given under Rule 7, the application must be recorded as plaintiff filed on the date of the application on which the application was presented. In other words, the date of plaintiff shall be deemed to be the date of application. So that we have seen in a case in the last episode, it took 3 years to decide the application for permission to sue as an indigent person. Sometimes it happens. Otherwise, it will be disposed of in no time. Some cases it may happen because of the contest, because of the details to be gathered, and because of the usual laxity on the part of revenue officers to submit the report before court. It shall be referred to the Tahsildar. If some lands are shown, suppose the court fee payable is 2 lakhs. He has disclosed the items of immovable property in the application schedule. Then it will be referred. He has estimated value thereof also shown. It will be referred to the Tahsildar to file a report touching upon these matters, and also see whether this man has any other property within his jurisdiction. The Tahsildar can also make such a report. So that is AER 1973, Supreme Court 2508. Then withdrawal, next is rule 9, withdrawal of permission to sue as an indigent person. The court may, this I think rule 9 we will deal with in the next episode. Thank you. Next episode we will deal with from rule 9 onwards. Thank you.